Your team members have their territory, and it's well defined. But still yet you have people who are poaching into your territory. They're trying to steal your opportunities, the ones that you are currently working on. How do you go about handling the situation in a civil manner, because you're not trying to go back to middle school and punch somebody in the face for stealing or trying to steal your deal? We're going to give you the professional advice and tips that you can take advantage of today and apply that so it doesn't happen. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast on TSE TV here on YouTube. I am your host, Donald Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today, and on this episode, I'm going to talk to you about what you can do so you don't get in trouble for strangling somebody. Just kidding. For getting upset or acting up when somebody tries to steal your sales opportunity. What can you do? How can you make this happen how can you take care of this in a professional, corporate situation manner without getting too upset or too crazy? We've all had it. I mean, I worked as a software sales rep, as an individual contributor, worked for multiple organizations. When you're on teams, this is something that tends to happen. You have some individuals who are more prone to making this happen. Individuals who seem to not care for the rules, and they're not always as ethical, and they'll do whatever it takes to steal to make things happen, and that may include poaching or stealing. But we don't want to make that, we don't want a culture with that, and we don't want to be around people like that. So I want to give you some advice, though, in case you find yourself in a situation like this. I have one of my clients right now, and he is one of the top contributors at his organization, but he has some new team members that came on recently, and not all of them are familiar, so to speak, with the culture. Maybe in the previous company they worked in, they had a different culture, but this individual in particular seems to be playing the I didn't know too much, and he's been poaching a lot on the opportunities of my client. And once or twice was he let it go, but over time, it just had to stop, and I'll tell you what he did at the end of this episode, but I'll tell you some advice that I gave him and some advice that I'll give you as well as you go further into considering this. And the first thing way before any of that, is I'm doing an episode with a guy. Is coming out on Friday. His name is Nick Casali, and Nick is director of sales at a company called Sendoso, and it's about how to become indispensable to your clients. Now, granted, you may have a deal or a lead in your territory that you're working on. Maybe the opportunity hasn't been developed yet, but let's say that you are communicating with a prospect within that organization. There's some kind of champion or some kind of individual. I would encourage you first and foremost to make sure you make your presence known. We've done an episode and one of our guests talked about how you need to make sure you're not only reaching out to one individual, reach out to multiple individuals within an organization. So let's say I'm trying to work in, for instance, we do some work in the assisted living and a nursing home space. So some of their sales reps or some of those individuals who are doing the sales on the front end, those individuals need help. So we work with them. But in that situation, you have HR that does some of the training resources. The corporate will look towards outside organization, or they may hire someone to come in and do some training. Number two, you also have the directors of sales, and in those industries as well, the VPs of sales, or you might try to get to the executive. Depending on the size of the organization, you may have easy access to them. So 3 different individuals. If I am trying to get into an organization, I need to see if I can make those 3 contacts and to have those 3 different conversations or 3 interactions. If I'm doing that, someone poaching on my team or looking on the outside, they're not going to be able to get too far because I have 3 levels of contacts that I'm making. But if you haven't made that deep of a contact yet within the organization, maybe you have one individual, you need to be indispensable to that individual, provide value. Or perhaps it's just a lead in your territory and you're trying to make your way in there. I would do the same thing. Try to connect with somebody on LinkedIn. Try to connect with, do phone calls to them, and try to do emails to them. So now you're showing that you are actually working this and you have something meaningful or something of substance in there. Because here's what's going to happen. When it's all said and done, if they can see, or somebody can see that you have, or your management can see that you're making headway, more than likely you're going to win the case if you have to go that far. So that's the very first thing. Become indispensable to your prospect. Become entrenched in the lead or in this potential deal way before there is even an opportunity that develops. Number two, or I guess number one right now, I'll tell you that you need to make sure that you stay calm. I've seen this before where people get so hot-headed, they get so angry, get so frustrated, they can't think clearly. And you know, like some of those little TV shows with kids, right? I think it's like Daniel the Tiger. Yes, I have a kid in the house, you can tell, right? But in Daniel the Tiger, one of the things Daniel says, you know, he gets so angry sometimes you have to stop and breathe and count to 3. And in your case, sometimes that's what you just need to do. You go into your deal and you see that somebody's working it, or you see on their pipeline, they're trying to post that they're working this opportunity or working a deal or a lead that you have. Stop, breathe, count to 3, and get a clear head. Because if you are acting a fool and you're acting all upset and yelling and screaming, then the buyer, or excuse me, the team member or the boss or whoever is going to say, well, this person is being irate. They're not being a professional. Maybe they don't really have a hold of this deal. Maybe it's not really theirs. But usually the person who is the most level-headed is the one that's the calmest, is the one that's usually going to win in the long run. So first thing and foremost, I'll tell you that. And I saw some of that information as well out there. People are giving the same advice, but it's true. Stay level-headed, stay calm. Number 2, the second thing that I'll tell you to do is make sure you understand the rules. I tell you this all the time. Know the rules before you start playing the game. And in this scenario, it may be understand your company's policy when it comes towards opportunities, when it comes towards territory. How does that work? If you're working something, what does it mean to be that you're the owner? Is it just have to be your name in the CRM, that you're the account owner? Or does it have to be that you have contact with them in the past 6 months or the past 3 months? Whatever that is, you need to understand that policy internally so that you can be well informed and well educated, so that you're not getting upset for something that that is well within that team member's right. So let's say you have a lead that's in your name, but you haven't done anything in 7 months. And the policy says if the deal, no one has touched it in 6 months, then it's fair game. You can't get upset if it's 7 months and you didn't do anything all that time, but then now somebody's doing it. But if you were doing stuff, it should be visible, right? But again, you just really have to understand the rules, and I encourage you to make sure you know that rule. If your company doesn't have the rule, you need to find out what the management is considering. Maybe there's some kind of, some kind of internal law that is probably just not written down, but you can find out what that is when it comes towards deals. And perhaps maybe you just have clear territories and there shouldn't be overlap, or maybe you have sectors and you don't have this problem. But some industries, we find that you have those situations. So you need to make sure you understand the rules. Know the rules before you play the game. Number 3, I would then approach my teammate in a level-headed, understanding, professional manner, because now I've done the research. Perhaps they just don't know. And I'm going to maybe just go with the fact that they're ignorant at this point. They just don't know. They just don't understand. So the first time, I'm going to educate them. Let them know what's going on. Let them know that's not how we play the game. Let them know the rule. Maybe they didn't understand. And if there's some clarity that needs to be involved, I can help to explain that to them. I'm more senior. I've been in an organization longer. Let me just clarify that to them. And usually maybe that can solve the problem right then and there. And if they are someone that they didn't know the rules, but they're trying to poach, they know that you're not messing around because you came, you're level-headed, and you're a professional. Like, this is what you should be doing. Maybe you made a mistake. Please don't do that again. Clear. But if the person keep doing it, if you see like a week later, a couple weeks later, they're trying to poach another deal in your territory, trying to poach another one of your opportunities, but you're entrenched in these people already. You've been there. You've been doing all your stuff. They're connected to you. You're indispensable to this prospect. If that is the case, I would then take it to management. Maybe your higher ups can help to solve this, and maybe can explain to them like, listen, do not go and touch Donald's deals, and vice versa. Donald or anyone on the team shouldn't do that. Maybe there needs to be a training internally so everyone can understand the rules. Now, when everyone understands the rules, maybe there's a training, the management came and intervened and clarified stuff, you're good to go. But if management don't care about it, and the culture is like that throughout the whole organization, and that happens all the time, perhaps maybe this isn't a place that you should be. Perhaps you want to find an organization that's more professional, that's more organized, and that the team leaders or company heads and the processes from the executives are actually going to be in favor of the team to thrive and to succeed. The last thing you want to do is be a part of a culture where it's being overlooked, or management don't care because they're getting money in the end. Somebody's closing the deal. A cutthroat team never ever succeeds or thrives in my book. So that's the thing that I would tell you. Maybe you need to look for a different organization and go elsewhere. But even before that, if there is management is involved and management did try to help solve that problem, I've done it in different scenarios where I've let something pass the first time, but like, you know what, no big deal. They started working it. They got somewhere with it. Keep going with it. But the second time it happened, I just put my foot clearly down. I said, don't do that. I'm not a pushover. I'll let you go with that one opportunity. Don't ever, ever do that again. Don't touch my deals. Don't try to mess with my deals. It's mine just as much as I wouldn't touch your stuff or mess with it. And I won't let it go. I will push that all the way to the top towards the CEO to make sure that things are clear and that they understand what we're trying to do. Because the last thing I'm trying to do is do all this work and then somebody come and steal my stuff. Granted, if that's the case, I'm not going to do it. But if there's, maybe it's just a deal in my territory or something that I did have connection with or communication with, but there wasn't anything developed, the first time, let it pass. But otherwise, I'm not going to waste my time and I'm not going to let somebody come and steal stuff that I've been working so hard on. But those are the things that I would tell you. The first thing is make sure you be indispensable to the client. Number two, you want to make sure that you understand you're calm, level-headed. Number two, you understand the rules before you play the game. So I guess 0 is really, need to make sure you become indispensable. Number 1 is that you need to make sure that you are level-headed. Number 2, you need to make sure that you understand the rules before you play the game. Number 3, you need to make sure that you talk to that individual in a professional manner. Number 4, you need to bring some of your higher-ups involved. Number 5, if the higher-ups ain't helping you, then maybe you need to look somewhere else. But even before that, I would tell you that you need to make sure you put your foot down the second time that happens so that that team member knows you're not messing around. Go back to the story of my client. What he did, this particular team member, he did just that. He was calm. He let the first one go. Wasn't a huge thing, but it started happening again. So this is where he went and put his foot down. And he spoke to this team member and told him, that's not cool. Don't try that. Don't ever do that again. Not a pushover. Not a little puppy dog. Don't step into my territory. Then that person learned, they realized. And then he also informed management about it as well, because this individual knew the rules, but still yet, even though they were new, they were just trying to push the boundaries. And because he did that, that person backed off and he is doing well. Actually, my client right now is number 3 within this organization. So if you need coaching, you need to come talk to this guy here and we can help you. I want you to succeed. I want you to thrive. This is why we do this podcast. We want you to be able to find more of those ideal customers. We want you to know what to say when you reach out to them. We want you to close more deals. I recommend tools and I recommend shows and give you strategies. And one of the shows that I'm telling you to check out right now, if you're a male, female, or whatever you identify as, you need to check out Interrupt. INTHERRUPT. And it's not because I'm one of the executive producer of that show. It's just because that show is fantastic. It's great. It's educating and giving women leaders some of the things they need to know as they're trying to get their seat at the table and break the status quo. Find more information, go to tsestudios.io and you can search Interrupt. Hey guys, this is lovely. This is great. But again, I want you to succeed. But most importantly, I want you to go out each and every single day and do big things. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great evening. Hey, thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video today. If you enjoyed the content, I ask you to go ahead and hit that like button, that thumbs up in the bottom right-hand corner. Also, to make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already. This way, we'll keep you up to date with all the latest sales strategies, latest tools, and things that are going to help you to not only find more prospects, but to close more deals. Thanks so much.